Hello everybody, this is going to be a relatively short video for your first lab in terms of the frequency distributions. And it's going to be a little bit shorter than other videos for your labs because in most videos for the labs I will show you how to run the analyses. However, for the frequency distributions, that was a big thing that we did in the video lecture. So in terms of how to run things, make sure you've watched the video lecture on this topic of frequency distributions. And so this lab is going to be structured like most of your labs. The first question or two or so will be about how to run the stuff. So that's always the first part of the lab, is to describe to me how to run in SPSS these analyses. And so question one is asking you how to run a frequency table in SPSS. We went over that in the lecture, so make sure that you watch the lecture. Bullet points are good. You don't have to write some sort of weird essay on this. That would be silly. Just have bullet points. Click this, click that. That would be fine. And then question number two is, what are the extra steps that you need to do the histogram, the graph of the frequency distribution? So just in bullet points, say what the extra steps are to get the graph in terms of the frequency distribution. Again, we went over this in the video lecture, so go back to the video lecture if you're not sure how to answer this. And then the rest of the lab, which is the most important part of the lab, is you're going to be given some output from SPSS and asked to interpret it. In this case, you're going to be asked to describe the distribution, the frequency distribution of different variables. And so I would normally show you those things in a lab video, but again, we did this in the lecture. A large part of the lecture was looking at SPSS output and understanding what it's saying, what the different columns of the output mean. And so if you're not sure how to interpret the output, go back to the lecture. The lecture goes over that quite extensively. And so question number three is, it describes a variable in terms of career choice. Make sure you read everything in the lab. I don't think I need to repeat things in the video like this, but make sure you read everything in the lab. Where people have problems in labs is that they don't read all of the instructions or all of the details. So make sure you read all of the details and also listen to this video. That's the other problem, is that if people have problems in labs, it's because they didn't watch the video. And so we have a variable here, career certainty. And so question number three, you're asked to describe the frequency distribution for the sample for that variable using just this table. So I provide the table there, so that's part of the output. So I've given you the output from SPSS right here in your lab document. And there's more questions. So question number four, it's for the same variable, career certainty, but in this case, describe the frequency distribution using the histogram. So I give you the histogram here. And then question number five, we're going to be looking at a larger data set for the question number 5 and 6. And so there's a variable of age, so age of the person responding to the survey. So let's see next page. The histograms are quite big. So using this histogram, describe the distribution of age. And why are we just jumping to histograms and not using tables? Remember what I said in the lecture is that for variables, for one, variables that have a lot of different values, so age can have a lot of different values. So here we have a span of about 65 years, difference between the highest and lowest score. We could possibly have 65 rows. It's hard to look at 65 rows and come up with a description. Also, as I mentioned in the lecture, is that samples that have larger sample size, more people, it's harder to look at the table and make a conclusion. It's easier to do it with a small sample size. Larger, it's hard. So we have both things here. We have a lot of possible values numbers for our variable of age, so a lot of rows, and we have a large amount of people. So in those cases, it's good just to go to the histogram. So describe the frequency distribution of age using this histogram. Again, this is covered in the lecture, how to approach that. And then the last question, number 6, is total family income for the same sample. So income, there could be many possible values of that. So lots of rows and also a very large sample size here. So given those two things, we don't even bother with the table, frequency table. We go straight to the frequency distribution in terms of a histogram. So looking at this histogram that I've given you, describe this sample's distribution in terms of this variable of total family income. And that's the whole thing. And so that's your first lab. And so again, all of this stuff is really explained in detail in the lecture. If you have any questions about how to do the lab, let me know. Basically, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be typing your answers into this Word document and uploading the Word document into Canvas. So take care, and that's it for this lab. Thank you.